Citizen Kane, first requested to me by Dee and directed, co-written, and starring Orson Welles, is a 1941 film that tells the story of Charles Foster Kane, a wealthy, influential man with a complicated past. Charles Kane's story is told through a series of flashbacks as reporters attempt to analyze the final word he uttered before his death, that word being rosebud. As we see flashbacks of Charles Kane's past, we see what played a part in determining the course of his life and the choices he made along the way. Alright, so Citizen Kane is considered one of the greatest movies of all time by almost everyone, it seems. And I'm going to be honest, I hadn't actually seen it before last night. There's a lot of classic films like Citizen Kane that are considered all-time greats that I do need to watch to round out my movie knowledge, but in time, I will get to them. As always, too many movies, too little time, but being in quarantine and working from home does help, so hopefully I'll be able to get to more. But long story short, I went into my viewing experience with, really high expectations because of just how beloved this movie is. I do try to limit my expectations where possible, so I can just enjoy the film as it is. And one thing that helped with this is that I didn't know really anything about it going in. I knew very, very little about the characters or what was going to happen, but by the end, I definitely see why it's so beloved. Citizen Kane is a film that was released in 1941 that feels its age from a production standpoint, but the entire production is just so masterfully crafted that it doesn't matter what year you're watching it because you find yourself, and I found myself, caught up in the story of Charles Kane so thoroughly because I felt like each period of time that went by, another layer was peeled back for the character. I felt like I understood both the internal and the external factors that drove him to make the decisions he did and to pursue the lifestyle he ultimately does. What I found most interesting about the character was how the more success, fame, and wealth he receives, the unhappier he becomes. There's a need to be loved, and he pursues that at any cost. The problem he ultimately faces, though, is that he doesn't have any love to give in return. He desperately seeks love from others, but there's not an even exchange. There's an imbalance in everything Charles does because he is perpetually seeking love from others without any love to offer himself. The performance from Orson Welles is fantastic because he plays Charles Kane in various stages of his life, changed by his experiences, yet at the same time, fundamentally the same. The performance is one of the greatest I've probably ever seen because the way in which the character is explored is just amazing. Charles Kane is played as someone who, on the surface, appears larger than life, but on the inside is broken. This is a performance that has stuck with people for as long as it has because of how fascinating the character is and all his complexity, as I'm mentioning. Orson Welles makes it very easy to see just how broken he is and how obsessed he is with being loved. It's an excellent character in large part due to the performance and the subtleties in that performance, and how Charles treats the people closest to them and how he handles failure. Those are both really big aspects of the character. What I also liked about Citizen Kane is how versatile it feels. One moment you can experience the lavish, loud lifestyle of Charles Kane, and the next you're sharing an intimate moment between Charles and someone more important to him. There's one scene in particular where Charles is having a party with some of his coworkers, and there's a band with some women that come in, and the whole scene just feels so over the top, but in the best kind of way. It works because it feels true to the character of Charles Kane, and the kind of things he would promote and enjoy. Everything about this film centers around Charles, and it all works so well because there's such a deep, meaningful understanding of who Charles Kane is as a person and a character. This is one of the best developed characters I've seen in a long time because by the end of the film, you understand everything there is to know about him. He's fascinating because of the success he experiences, yet at the same time, the unhappiness he also experiences as he becomes more successful. Citizen Kane delivers a character-driven story in a way that's exciting, deep, thoughtful, dramatic, and emotionally draining. It's carried by great performances, excellent direction, and really great writing that allows the personality of the characters to shine through. I'm going to go ahead and skip the pros cons this time because you guys already know everything about this movie is a pro for me and nothing is a con, so I'll just save us both some time. I'm giving Citizen Kane a 10 out of 10. If you haven't seen it already, I do highly recommend you go watch it. It holds up really well, and you should be really engaged by it throughout as long as you like character-driven dramas. If you don't, obviously movies are subjective, they're not for everyone, but I think there's a pretty good chance you're going to like this one if you like those character-driven dramas like I mentioned. This is one of the best ever made, and a lot of people agree with that statement, and I'm right on board with it. Make sure to let me know in the comments below whether you've seen Citizen Kane and what you thought of it, and if you haven't, let me know why not. And of course, whether you'd be interested in watching it. If you're not, I feel like I'm selling it pretty well, so I feel like you should give it a shot. But if not, movies are subjective, so there's plenty of other great things to watch as well. I'm willing to bet this is a lot of people's favorite movie, so while we're on the discussion of favorite movie, make sure to let me know your favorite in the comments below. But that's all from me for now, so this is WillFoxification signing off, and I'll see you in the next review.